Do you know, Rebecca? I didn't get any messages.
I do not know.
Okay.
Okay, I think we said we were gonna start with utilities, but if there's no objection, well, let me say first, we do have some sort of wrap up, I don't know exactly, some things to sort of talk about from our last meeting, in terms of procedure and process and how we wanna go forward, because after today, we really just have the list, the meeting where we talk about the list to try to get to a final budget. And I don't know if everyone has had a chance, Mark sent out a spreadsheet, that shows sort of what's on the list, what the potential reductions are, and also how much, you know, depending on what levy increase you're looking at, how much you would need to cut. So I'm not sure if everyone's had a chance to sort of compare what's on the list to where you would like individually to end up. So, but I think there are some things that we may wanna, talk about in terms of things that, how we wanna proceed for some items that may not have made it onto the list for whatever reason. And I don't know if we wanna do that at the beginning or at the end, so I'll entertain comments about that, yes.
I was speaking to Rebecca today, and just, so I'll share with the rest of the board and see what you guys think, but we kind of skipped over the overview. We did it with Mark, but then we didn't, when we talked about salaries or anything like that. And then we got information. We had asked a lot of questions at the last meeting, and then Mark followed up with some great information provided to answer all our questions. So for those items that we got additional information or maybe salary oriented or overview oriented, could we talk about some of those things we want to add them to the list today?
Well, yeah, those are some of the things I was talking about. There's also, I think I sent an email out about items on the capital list that are 2 or 3. Do we want it automatic? So I guess the question for the group is, do we want to talk about that process stuff now or at the end of the meeting? I mean, I prefer kind of to do it at the end, but do it at the end, okay.
I'm fine talking about it at the end, but if we don't get to it today, because sometimes we go long.
We're gonna have to get to it.
We're gonna have to get to it.
Yeah, we're gonna have to get to it. So I will say at 8:45, if we are still here at 8:45, I will say we've got to stop and start this conversation. Okay.
When does the budget have to be published? When is the public? Is it the 20th?
Well, actually,
2 publications.
November?
the public hearing is the 18th. I think we have to have 20 days, is it?
Isn't it 2 class 2s? Or 2 publications?
Just one.
So it's usually in there.
I have,
But not less than
in
10
my,
days
in my
prior.
schedule, I've got the notice to go out, the week after wrap up, so I think I've got a few days extra time because we have to give publication advance with the newspaper, so it gets out at the right date. I don't,
23rd,
you know,
25th.
so-
So there's a week there.
Yeah, it has to
Yeah.
be published at least not less than 10 days prior to the public hearing. So you can put it back into your time. And then
It's the
publish it.
18th of
Yeah.
Give some time.
Yeah, usually like the first week.
but there's some backup publication
Right, back up
deadlines.
to get into the public.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. But there is some wiggle
I
room
just
there,
was
yeah,
wondering, this
if
is such
you needed to use it.
abbreviated schedule.
I mean, I was looking at last year, and we're actually like 2 weeks before where we were last year. So I don't know how that worked out, but anyway.
That's great. We started earlier, but we didn't put any more additional sessions.
No, it's the same number of sessions. Okay, why don't we start with the library since Rachel's here and Alex Handelsman, correct? I went to school with someone named Alex Handelsman.
I was from California, so I don't think it was me.
No, it wasn't you.
Library board?
Yeah.
But I was trying to remember your name, and I thought, am I wrong because I'm thinking of this other person? But, okay, so why don't we start with library, and what we generally do is just if anyone has any questions first, and then if there are, so who has some?
Again, for those, page 83 in the draft budget.
I had a question on the local library aids going up 12,000. Is that what accounts for that?
That's not always predictable. That's our reciprocal borrowing.
Oh.
So that's the fact that we're rewarded for being a net lender. And that it does seem to have a bit of a roller coaster. It's not a very predictable sum, so we ended up higher this year, but can't predict that for next year.
How did the phone bill go so far down?
That's gonna be my question.
It's crazy. Not that it's a big amount, but I'm just saying.
Rachel and I were looking at, going back to the 2018 budget, we created the other general administration account with all those separate line items in for all the facilities, bills. And as part of that, we reevaluated really how we share some of the costs for some of the phone charges. And the library was being charged for things that are probably a little more general in nature, so we just, they ended up in a different place in the other general administration budget.
Okay.
Is the enhanced operations section new? Is that that's breaking that out separate?
Yes, so the enhanced operations is a new area. It's a direct result of our generous gift that we received from Elaine and Larry Lang. And we also opted to bring over the Friends revenue that you'll previously see was in the operational budget to this area. Seems like an appropriate place for it. And it really allows us to showcase how the Friends, really since I've been here, since 2016, have increased their financial donation to the library, answering our call by over 40%. And you can really see where that's being applied.
And with that, you'll see past years with a Lucky Day collection, there's like a 4,000 drop off, but that's now captured in the enhanced operations.
Okay.
I just have two more. The reference continuations, is that like we now use Google?
You know, it used to be that we had a lot of reference books that we always had on automatic order. That's a standing order, and there aren't many left. We've got the World Book, or not the World Book, the World Almanac. We've got a few things left, but yes, it's a result of not having as many print resources.
And then programming, is that like your race relations?
That's one of many programs that we have. The programming is greatly reduced here because the Friends support almost 70% of the programming throughout the years, so you'll see that major reduction. The tax levy support for our programming has always been about 25 to 35%, and the Friends have taken up the rest of that charge.
Thank you.
And
Tell me thank you.
Yes, and I keep pointing to Janae Sacken over here, who is president of our Friends group.
Oh,
Yeah,
welcome.
so.
Thank you for coming.
Does this fully fund all the staff under salary and wages? Like we've done it, the agreement we've had in the past, where we
Yes.
fully budget for everybody, and then if there's any savings, it will come back to the
Yes.
general.
And that is still the case, so anything that is staff-related expenses will be coming back to you. And I think this year it is estimated, Mark, correct me if I'm wrong, looking.
4635. It's
Budgets,
the last transaction line in page 84,
Okay.
in the middle column there. That's our based on projections, that's our current estimate of residual. And those come back to the general fund.
Oh, transfers, okay, thank you, okay.
Can I just mention, since we're on salaries, I have been asking that we look at, living wage issues, and Tyler did prepare a memo that sort of went through, and I wasn't suggesting that shelvers who work 10 or 12 hours a week get a living wage, but he did kind of go through the exercise of how that would bump up against other classifications and require sort of a, so I don't know how the rest of the board feels about it, but part of the issue is that if you increase shelvers, then that pushes up the library aides, and that pushes up the library associate, and that pushes everybody up.
right.
And there's lots of different job classifications at the library. If some of those job classifications if there were only 3 instead of 5, you wouldn't have as much of an issue with cost of increasing some wages. So anyway, I don't think it's something, as much as I would like to see something happen on it, it's not something maybe for this year, but I would love to be able to have a chance to talk to the library board, maybe look at some of the job classifications with this in mind, and maybe think about whether we could reduce the number of classifications and start to think about increasing wages, at least for people like over 20 hours, or anyway, something I'd like to.
Yeah, for next budget season.
For
right?
next
We're
budget,
gonna-
yeah, and I don't know if maybe we all need to talk about it first and come to some kind of conclusion about what we'd like to, and then refer it to the library board, but I just raise it now because we're talking about it in this context.
I see it's on the agenda for the committee, start talking about living wage, maybe we can talk about it there, and then.
Is it?
Yeah, appropriate Monday.
Monday.
Oh.
Which committee is it?
Budget and
Yeah.
finance.
Makes sense.
On page 88, under building improvements, under the Greater Milwaukee Foundation supported, there's a monument sign on Frederick. Is that the whole sign, or are we gonna share it with Village Center, or what's the big?
That's a conversation we need to, that's more or less a placeholder. I need to
Okay.
have a few conversations. I'd like to touch base with Elizabeth and the Senior
That's a great
Resource
idea.
Center if that seems appropriate for a possible partnership, so it wouldn't
Right.
necessarily just say the library, since it is a shared parking lot. It's
Yeah.
feedback we get pretty often that our address is on Murray, but you enter the parking lot on Frederick, and which
Right.
driveway do I turn in? And so this has long been on the list. I have had a chance to talk to Bart about how that monument sign might hinder vision pulling in from the driveway. So there's some future conversations, but it is, I believe, listed, the price that the amount is the whole sign,
The whole, like,
the whole sign.
wow, it's a
Mhm.
good price.
So, but I look forward to possibly sharing it.
Yeah, because we'd have the fire department, their entrance is gonna be here, I mean, it should be everybody.
So this would be like right by the building out here.
That's what that was what I was envisioning, was by the storm garden, but it's still pretty preliminary.
That's a good point, there really isn't signage there that's the library. Go ahead, trustee Warren.
Oh, no, I was just resting my hand like this.
I love it, he's ready to go.
So for renovations, master planning under Greater Milwaukee, it says 12,000, I'm assuming you're getting ready to master plan for your facility?
It is through our facility survey that we've had, as well as a strategic planning, when we had surveys and focus groups, we did receive some feedback about some possible changes that could take place. So they would be small-scale internal renovations. We'd work with an architect to come up with that plan.
Excellent.
Mm-hmm.
And then my last question for the library is, for computer replacements, one, are you backed up in the cloud?
That's a good question. We are not backed up in the cloud. We have and I could verify this, we have a separate server from the village. Our server is hosted by the Milwaukee County Federated Library System. And we have a backup in our building, and then we also have a backup that gets, that's at our downtown library.
Okay. Case there's a
So,
fire.
yeah.
And do they follow the same computer replacement schedule as the village?
We don't contract with the same Digicor folks, but we typically go on a 5-year rotation. This year, we are splitting it up and we're only doing half of what we were intending to do. So some of our public computers will stretch to a 6th year, and we'll plan to replace them in 2021.
I had a question about your staff task chairs. How many chairs are you buying, do you know, for $4,500?
I want to say that off the top of my head, I'm thinking it's 9.
Can we have your old ones?
That's what I was gonna say.
Well, we are gonna transfer the old ones to our, in 2021, we're gonna move the old ones to our conference room. If any of you have sat in there lately, you know that you're sinking.
Well, we
and
have
you're-
better ones for your conference room. What if we just switch it around? We'll just switch chairs just for a year.
Antique feel.
Like George Washington.
Keep that in mind though, because every year we talk about replacing our
Yeah.
chairs and we never do it, and, yeah, okay, no, but some of us are getting old and have bad backs.
Yeah.
I'm bringing the balls in, you know, those big.
The also in building improvements, you had 6,000 for LED lighting support. Is that your share of the building, or what is?
That was, from the, estimate that we had, and this was listed, I believe, on the DPW capital request. We did show up there, and that was from the walkthrough that went through Village Center. And I believe in that estimate, it was the total of the LED lights in the library. I think it went throughout Village Center.
Is this separate,
so
is this additional funding, or is this?
Well, in the DPW budget, the project was funded partially by tax and partially by other sources.
Okay.
This is the other
other sources.
sources for the Village Center project that DPW would coordinate.
But it's 24,000 in the DPW budget, so, I mean, how can only 6,000 of that be the library? I mean, the library has to be at least 50% of that.
I can't speak to that, but
Could you figure that out before we wrap up?
Yeah,
I could push that to Public Works, sure.
Okay, thank you.
And also, if we don't,
It is.
Yep.
if we don't fund that project overall with I mean, that's another question, would it make sense for the library to go ahead if we're not funding it?
Isn't it
in
just
total?
LED though?
Well, I believe, Rachel, that this placeholder under the Greater Milwaukee Foundation section is dependent on the village moving forward. So if the village doesn't move forward, you would defer that until such time that the village did move forward.
That was my assumption. I would be open to talking to Joel or DPW if they thought it was worthwhile to continue to pursue some portion of the project, but that was the intention, was that it would be a package.
so in the capital, we have the tax levy of 24, and then the library, this is where their 6 is accounted for a total of 30.
Oh, okay.
And then there's page 136 and page 132.
Oh.
And then 7,000 is to LED, the